Speaker Diep Nguyen van Hout, who is the Senior Manager, Innovation and Business Development, IFC. Her presentation will be Unlocking Climate Business, IFC's Integrated Solutions for a Resilient Future, how IFC's climate platforms empower real estate, hospitality and Proptech leaders. Please welcome Diep.
Morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. We at IFC have just celebrated the 10-year anniversary of our Green Building Certification Program, EDGE, and I think about half of you were with us yesterday to celebrate. So I'm the Senior Manager of IFC's Climate Business Department. I'm based in Washington, D.C. And in our department, we basically look at innovating platforms and solutions that facilitate private sector investment in solutions that support climate mitigation and adaptation. So that support decarbonizing infrastructure systems, the built environment, manufacturing, agriculture. So solutions that support decarbonization across sectors. As well, these days we're focusing much more on how to adapt infrastructure systems, how to support our clients in adapting to the new climate realities. So how many of you here are aware or familiar with IFC? I saw that my colleague Ken was in a panel earlier, but how many of you are really familiar with IFC and now the services and the lending that we offer? Okay, a few of you. I see Portia there. So the IFC, International Finance Corporation, is one of 5 organizations of the World Bank Group. The World Bank, which comprises IBRD and IDA, International Development Association, so those are the World Bank organizations, lend money to governments to support development projects. And I was actually at the World Bank for 17 years of financing infrastructure systems with governments. And the IFC also finances development projects in emerging markets, but we do it through the private sector. And then we also have our sister organization, MIGA, the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, which offers guarantees for foreign direct investment for non-commercial risks. Whereas the IFC and World Bank do have guarantees for, IFC has guarantees for commercial risks. And some of the products and services that we offer. So obviously our core business is lending. We provide debt, we make loans to private sector companies, but we also make equity investments in companies. We have a whole range of financing instruments, debt, equity, trade and commodity finance. We have financing that supports SMEs for trade, for inventory financing, and we work through banks as well to, we finance banks and then banks on lend to smaller businesses. Otherwise, when we make direct financing to companies, it tends to be large transactions. The sweet spot is around 100 million capex. And for 100 million US dollar capex, we would expect the developer, the financier, to have some skin in the game, around 10 or 20% minimum. We ourselves would finance around 20 to 30%, depending on the size of the transaction. And then we play a role in mobilization. We would bring in financing from other financiers, including many institutional investors. So our role, again, is to mobilize and incentivize private sector investment. A very key key role for us is to bring in blended finance, which means we work with donor governments to find grants, to subsidize, or to buy down the cost of investments for projects that are not quite yet bankable, or for new technologies that private sector investors find risky. So basically, that's how it's one of the ways that we de-risk private sector transactions. So, but we have other ways of de-risking transactions other than the financial aspect. And that is, one of the ways is through upstream and early stage project preparation. And that's what a lot of what my team, as well as many of our regional teams, do. So what we do is we co-invest. We use our own funds, as well as grant funds from donors, to support or to co-invest in the project preparation process. For many of the very large transactions, especially when we're talking about infrastructure, let's say water systems or energy systems, even cooling systems, or transport systems, the project preparation costs can be quite significant, in the range of millions of dollars of project preparation, including for feasibility studies, market assessment, environmental and social safeguard studies, as well as legal assessment. Basically, the upstream work is to solve all of those barriers, but also looking at legal and regulatory issues that need to be solved. Let's say for the energy industry, it might require discussing with the government on the PPA terms, whether they're reasonable or not, whether it makes sense for the private sector. So we work with our sponsors or project developers to solve all of these issues before a project becomes bankable. So these are the pre-investment services that we offer. And in many cases, in many cases, we might not be the cheapest in terms of lending rates in the market, compared to commercial banks, but because of the upstream services that we offer and the co-investment services that we offer, clients tend to engage with us for those value-added services. And today I'm going to talk to you about let me take a step back. As I said, my team looks at innovating and developing products that incentivize investments across sectors. So, and in the for the climate for climate business, we look at several key systems. One system is energy. So we have solutions and platforms that facilitate investment in renewable energy, as well as these days lots of BESS, battery energy storage solutions. We also look at transport systems. So in transport, we look at investing in electric mobility, quite a few emerging projects in Africa for electric mobility across the entire value chain. So we might invest in, say, the manufacturing of vehicles, but as well for manufacturing of batteries. For infrastructure, we might invest sometimes on a PPP basis, both with government and the private sector investor. We might invest in, say, the charging infrastructure or the procurement of, say, public buses. So across the entire value chain, we also invest in, say, at the other end, recycling of the batteries after their end of life. So I mentioned energy systems, transport systems. We also invest in manufacturing, as well as agriculture sector. So one of the programs that my team is coordinating for development and investment is the agricultural services to reduce methane. So methane production, methane is a major byproduct of, say, livestock raising, as well as rice growing. Some other services that we offer for the agriculture sector include, say, supporting farmers in finding cooling solutions for getting their product from production to market, or, say, helping farmers certify their products. In emerging markets, lots of times farmers are producing goods, but then they just sell it to the middlemen, and they don't get much of the value before export, or crazy. Lots of times these farmers grow these products, they get exported to a third country where there's value addition services being performed before they actually get exported to the final market. So we're actually supporting farmers in getting those products certified so that they benefit from the value added services as well. But today I'm actually mainly going to talk to you because you're all real estate developers and financiers. I'm going to talk to you about our built environment, our green buildings and green and resilient cities program. So as I mentioned earlier, our EDGE Green Building Certification system we launched 10 years ago. And we launched it because we felt there was a gap in the market for a certification system that's simpler than existing certification schemes on the market, simpler, cheaper, and is able to quantify key results that are important for climate and for ESG indicators. So we basically designed a system that quantifies energy use, water use, and the carbon embodied in building materials. And it's an electronic system. I think many of you are aware of it. It's an electronic system. You can access it from our website, and you can put in the parameters of your building, design it, and it immediately calculates for you your energy use, water use, and carbon emissions based on your building design. And it does that immediately, and you can play with it. You can change the building materials, the windows, the heating system, the cooling system. You can play with it until you get to, if you get to 20% less than the average building in your locality, in your location, and we do have the local data as well as global data, if you get 20% less for all those 3 KPIs, then you get the basic EDGE Green Building Certification. And the advantage to the EDGE Green Building Certification is that we also link it to international financing, green financing, or sustainable financing. And because it is included in most of the international green and sustainable financing frameworks, in ICMA's framework and Climate Bonds Initiative, so it's internationally recognized. And we also link the financing, we also, for African countries, we also have a facility that through donations from donors, where our key donors, buys down the cost of the investment for projects that we feel have a good environmental and social impact. So for example, these days we help buy down the cost of social housing projects, or in some cases, hospitals or education facilities, or say, warehousing that supports pharmaceutical supplies, medicines. And, you know, this is a demonstration of EDGE's success. We've managed to, we have projects now developed in or implemented in 124 countries. Certified more than 122 million square meters, and that's about equivalent to over $120 billion in built assets on average, of which we spent over $20 billion of our own and our financing partners' money. And what's nice about EDGE, you can see there is all of those indicators there about the amount of water savings, energy savings, carbon savings our app calculates, both for your project, for your entire portfolio. So you can go to the app and you can add in multiple projects of your portfolio, and it'll give you numbers for your portfolio that you can track. And we have numbers by state, by country, and globally, cumulatively. One exciting thing that we're working on is a methodology for getting carbon credits for these savings. We have the methodology. We're working with the global certifiers to accept the methodology, and then eventually in the next year we hope to roll it out to the market and get carbon credits for all of these savings. Now, these carbon credits by project may be very small because unfortunately the price of carbon per ton in the international market is still rather low. I hope eventually that changes. But because it is low, the benefits that you get from these savings in terms of carbon credits might be very low, but cumulatively, I hope that these funds together can help maintain this system or reduce projects. We'll find some way of incorporating these credits into perhaps reducing the cost of certification or maintaining our system. Building Resilience Index, I think earlier my colleagues Michelle and Naz and Bureau Veritas, our first global certifier for Building Resilience Index, they presented and they discussed, so I won't say too much about it, but it's essentially the sister application to EDGE. EDGE is about green building efficiency for buildings, but BRI is about reducing the risk, improving the resilience of these buildings. And again, it's another application where we link the financing to the certification. So we have actually made loans, lent money to companies to invest in improving the resilience of their buildings. We've done it for housing, we've done it for warehousing in the industrial sector, so across typologies. APEX is a tool that helps municipalities and city governments to, again, a digital tool. All of these are digital tools that we have. It helps governments to plan investments for a greener and more resilient city. So it looks at 4 key systems, including energy, transport, water management, and waste management. And in fact, we did an APEX plan for the City of Cape Town, which supported the City of Cape Town in issuing I think it was a $300 million bond, of which we were also a key investor. And you might all be interested in eco-industrial parks. I think many of you here, your companies or your funds are actually investing in industrial parks or warehouses in industrial parks. Well, while EDGE and BRI are focused on certifying the building for efficiency or resilience, EIP is our new certification scheme that certifies an entire industrial park as green or as resilient. We've implemented pilots this year in several countries. We've just signed an agreement in Vietnam to invest $500 million in industrial parks. And so I imagine that there are quite a few industrial parks here in Africa as well, including in South Africa. And so if you're interested in certifying your industrial park with these ESG indicators, please let me know. It is an international scheme that's accepted. We published the framework with the World Bank and UNIDO about 2 or 3 years ago, and now we're the ones implementing the certification scheme. So there you have it. That's the integrated green buildings, green cities, green and resilient built environment, a suite of products that we have at the IFC. Thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to discuss further.